right, Sandy, take it away.
Okay, I will do. So thank you very much, Heather. If you don't know me already, I'm Sandy Pollock. I'm the Older Boys Director of Coaching here at the club. Welcome to the Tennessee Soccer Club Boys College Recruiting Basics webinar. We have been doing recruiting webinars similar to this, for a number of years, but we're really, really excited about this one tonight, and I'll tell you why in a minute. Just to give you a brief background on myself, if you don't know me already, like I say, the new age group come in, 09s, might not be as familiar. I've been with Tennessee Soccer Club since the program began in 2012. I was with both Brentwood Soccer Club and TNFC, the two clubs that merged to become Tennessee Soccer Club for many years before that, and have been coaching older boys in the Middle Tennessee district for 20 to 25 years. So very familiar with the landscape, very familiar with the college process, and have put many, many players of my own through different levels of colleges over the years. I have Andy Robertson, our assistant coach, older boys coach, with us tonight as well. Andy just joined us this year. He was from Scotland, like myself, and we're really excited to have Andy with us as well. Andy was the head men's soccer coach at Delta State in Mississippi, and brings a wealth of experience to our club as well in order to help the boys. But the really exciting part about tonight is the fact that our club has now partnered with H2 Athletic Advising, who is owned and operated by Heather Henson. Heather is a phenomenal coach, mentor, leader, and all-around good business person. I've known Heather personally for a number of years through her role as a head women's coach at Belmont University. I've got to know her well. I've got a lot of respect for her. And when Stuart Brown, my boss, told me Heather was coming on board to help the college recruitment process, I was really excited. Heather brings a wealth of experience. She's been involved for about 28 years with 3 different colleges. Belmont University, the last one. She was at East Tennessee State University as a coach, and before that, High Point University. She's been on the ODP staff for over 20 years. She's been a coaching education staff member for many, many years. She's a John Gordon certified speaker on the power of positive leadership, and she's also a Generation Youth certified coach. In addition to that, she also coaches in our club, which we're real pleased about, as young female players get the benefit of Heather's knowledge there as well. So really excited about having Heather. You're going to hear a lot of information from her. I'm going to talk through a couple of slides, and then Heather's going to take over. But again, really excited about this, and the future of our boys program for college recruitment is in good hands. So thank you for that, Heather.
Welcome.
Okay, so if you can go just back one, please.
Sorry.
Yeah, there you go. So we have a proud history of helping lots of players find a home at some of the best colleges all over America. When I say all over America, you can see by this map, it's mainly, from the Midwest over to the East. The reason for that, I think, is a lot of our, obviously, college coaches don't come from the West Coast to recruit very much. And most of our players want to stay, fairly close to the vicinity of Tennessee, But we have had players go out west. Up in Washington, for example, one of my former players, Andrew Conwell, went and played soccer at the University of Washington. That's one of the furthest ones away we've had. But we have sent players to many, many colleges all over America, and all levels, I may add. We've had players in the Ivy League schools. We've had players in, obviously, Division 1, Division 2, Division 3, and NAIA colleges as well. We've got a good choice of schools right here in Tennessee in all of those divisions. And I want to reiterate one thing right now. You do not have to be an ECNL player to play in college. I want to make sure everybody clearly understands that. We have players every year that go to colleges all over the place from all levels. So in my opinion, there's a college for any player at our club that wants to play soccer in college. It's just a matter of picking the right ones. Next slide, please. So we want to just highlight a couple of players here that have come through our club, and talk a little bit about why different players choose different schools to go to, because it all comes down to what's a good fit for each player. For example, Brandon Parrish, he's currently at Clemson University, one of the top soccer programs in America. Brandon's college team, the Clemson, won the national championship last year. So that was a very exciting time for him. Going in, though, when he chose Clemson, he probably went in knowing he wasn't going to play soccer there for a very limited soccer there for the first couple of years. So he made that choice. He goes, I'm going to go in knowing my playing time will be limited, but I'm going to work hard and do the best I can to secure a place. He achieved his goal, and that's what he's done. Now he's a team captain. He's a senior and having a fantastic experience. Riley Closier, on the other hand, chose Belmont University. Clemson were actually looking at him also, but Riley decided he was the type of player that wanted to start playing right away. I want to play in year one. I want to play all 4 years. I don't want to, sit and not play for those 2 years. So he had an option, didn't really have the option yet to go to Clemson, but Clemson were very seriously looking at Riley as well. And he's having a fantastic time at Belmont and doing very well, currently a sophomore. Then another example we've got is Patrick Lee. He's currently a sophomore at Messiah University, which is a Division III school. And I want to kind of highlight something here. A lot of players say, well, I only want to play Division I. Patrick was in our ECNL team, one of our top players, went to a Division III college, Messiah. And if you may not know this, but they've won 11 national championships, more national championships than any other college in the NCAA. So there's many reasons to choose colleges. We also have another former player, Parker Roddy, who's also, Davis Roddy, his brother Parker also plays in college, but Davis also plays at Messiah. Both of those players went to CPA high school, who have a good relationship with Messiah as well. So anyhow, we're saying that to say this: there's a college for everyone. Everyone's going to be a little bit different depending on what you choose. But good examples of players that came through our program and went on different paths for different reasons.
Perfect. I'm going to exit this just for a bit because I believe we still need to get a few people in here. So let me exit that real quick, give them a chance to get in to our Q&A. And if you know of anyone who is having problems getting in, then again, the recording will be sent out. So they will get this recording of the webinar. But you can text your friends right now if they're having trouble, ask them to try to re-enter into this. What we would also like to do while we're giving a moment for these people to come in is we'd like to find out who's on the call. So if we're going to launch a poll, and if you could tell us what is your graduation year, so we can find out who's in attendance and give a few more people, a few more minutes for people to come in. And again, if you have any friends who are having problems getting onto this, a recording will be sent out. Okay, so we will make sure that they get access to this. Okay. All right, so we're going to go back to the screen, okay? And we're going to ask you if you could fill out the poll. Again, what year do you graduate, or does your student athlete, what year are they graduating from? Just give you a couple minutes, give us a chance to find out who is here. Do we have a lot of seniors? Do we have a lot of freshmen? Do we have a good mix of that? All right. As you fill that out, we just want to have an idea who's here as well. Again, this is overview of the college recruiting process. And it is something that we will walk through about with all of the divisions. We will walk through some of the rulings. We are, with this partnership with Tennessee Soccer Club, we will have multiple webinars. So we will give you an overview tonight, and then our future webinars will have some specific, we may talk about creating highlight films. We'll talk about more in detail about emails, how to correspond, communication, how to market yourself. So a lot of different things. So tonight's an overview of all of this. So overview, when you're talking about the different divisions, you will see that the NCAA has 3 different levels, Division 1, 2, and 3. Typically, they're separated by philosophy and size. So quite honestly, if you decide you want to play college soccer, there is a place for you. It's just a matter of finding it. I truly believe that there's at least 20 different schools out there for you at any of these levels. And it's just a matter of putting the time, energy, and effort to find that place and knowing, right? Beginning to know what you want. So we want to give you a snapshot. Division 1, 2, and 3. NAIA and the Division 1 and 2 within the junior college level. This is the number of programs that each of these divisions have for men's soccer. And then again, the maximum number of scholarships that are allowed in each of these divisions. So you can see Division 1 and 2 offers, right, a maximum scholarship for Division 1 at 9.9. Division 2 is 9.0. However, Division 3 does not offer athletic scholarship, but does offer quite a bit of academic scholarship. Okay, so please also understand this is the maximum number that is allowed per each governing body that we're talking about, NAIA, NCAA. Each school and each conference gets the final decision on how many athletic scholarships they would offer for the men's soccer program at a Division 1. So that could be different from school to school. At the NAIA level, again, the maximum is 12, but again, one school may offer 10, one school may offer 12. The other fact about the scholarship levels is that, for instance, in Division 1 with 9.9, that's not 9.9 athletic scholarships times 4 classes, freshman, sophomore, junior, senior. That is 9.9 scholarships in one entire year for all 4 classes. Okay. And it can be split up from they're an equivalency sport. They're not a head count sport. So that scholarship could be a 20% of a scholarship, or 50% of a scholarship, or 90% of a scholarship. So it can be broken up in percentages. Another item about the divisions, something to consider is really when you are looking at deciding where you want to play, then I really think it's important, right? What's your intended major? Do they offer or expect individual workouts? Are you allowed to do study abroad and internships? When can you do those? What does your summer look like, right? And then what are the resources? And resources, I think, span so many different things. It could be academics, athletics, community. There's a lot of different resources at universities and within athletic departments offered to their student athletes. Time management is another thing I really want you to consider. So on this graph, you see in a total week, right? It's 168 hours. And you can see Division 1, 2, and 3, the number of hours where it says other, that's sleep, job, extracurricular, etc. It ranges from 84.5 to 85, right? So it's fairly similar. Socialization, time to just socialize and be with your friends, you can see that that's very similar. As you move to academics and athletics is where you start to see a bit of a change, okay? And so what are the things that take up the time at the Division 1 and 2 level within the athletic side of it when you're looking at the number of hours? Right? Every level, every division, you have practice, you have competition, and most at this point are also doing strength and conditioning work as part of their practice. Where it gets a little different for Division 1 and 2 is there could be supplemental workouts. Are they small group? Maybe all the backs are going out to work. Could it be individual training with a coach? Is it film review with the team? Is it individual film review? And so that's where the nuances begin to change a bit. When you look at underneath the athletic hours, you'll see this percentage, right? 67, 63, and 47. That is where the percentage of student athletes who say they spend as much time on the athletic side in their off season. And so that's probably the biggest separation is when you're thinking your championship season in the fall and your spring, which I believe is still your training season. You will see it deemed as off season, but it's still a training season. That's what they're talking about when they talk about the differences in the off season training. Okay. And so there's different rules at, for instance, Division 1 to Division 3, what your spring, how many hours you're allowed to train. So those are very good questions to begin to ask the schools as you begin to talk with them. All right. I want to help you out with some terms you need to know, just so we're on the same page. And as you're talking with coaches, you know what they're saying to you. You don't get lost in the terminology. So, right, a prospective student athlete, a PSA, that is a student who has started their first day of classes in the 9th grade. Not earlier, it is the 9th grade. The NCAA, the National Letter of Intent, okay, they host a letter a document that indicates the student athlete's commitment to participate at the NCAA level for Division 1 and 2. Okay, they recognize it as a binding agreement for that first year. Division 3 does not sign an NLI, but they do sign a letter of a commitment, a celebratory form where you can still have a signing at your high school. And the NAI and junior colleges, they also do not have binding agreements, but some of the NAIA conferences will recognize a signed NLI. So again, that's just a good question if you're looking at an NAIA school to see if they have a binding or if they have a require and it's recognized. Okay. Again, most every division has some type of letter where you can sign with your friends on signing day at your high schools or at your clubs. I don't want you to get confused with terminology. There is the NIL, okay, which is name, image, and likeness. That is what you're hearing a lot on the TV right now with ESPN. You're seeing on Instagram. You're beginning to see student athletes and all athletes, right, becoming sponsors. Well, student athletes are now able to be paid for sponsorships. So there is a difference in that, and that will be talked about at a later date in that. So your national letter of intent is your signing and binding agreement. The Eligibility Center, the NCAA Eligibility Center certifies student athletes to compete at the Division 1 and 2 level. Okay, it reviews your student athletes' academic records, core courses. It certifies your amateurism status, and it makes sure that you are conforming to the NCAA rules. One of the newest rules that has come down is that the NCAA Eligibility Center, or NCAA EC, does not require test scores. Your ACT or SAT no longer is needed to certify through the NCAA Eligibility Center. Okay, so it's new. It just came about for this year. So you still need to take your test score because it may be an admissions for that university or academic scholarship, but it is not mandated through the NCAA. Two terms that you need to be aware of: a qualifier, right? You will either come out as a qualifier, which means you are academically eligible to practice, compete, and receive athletic aid in your first year. A non-qualifier, excuse me, you may not practice, compete, or receive aid during your first year. So this is why you're registering with the NCAA eligibility to find out what your status is. If you stay on track and your grades are good and your counselor is with you going through the core courses you need to complete, you should be in good status. But again, these are the two roles that you could fall into. And again, most of you will fall into a qualifier status. For NAIA, if you are looking to play NAIA, then you need to go to Play NAIA, that is the eligibility center for all players or student athletes who want to compete at the NAIA level. And so and we are going to include links for both of these centers, eligibility centers, so that you can gain access and read more about it, and you'll have the ability to register for that. All right. Terms, next ones, unofficial visits. Any visit that you schedule with the college coach, all right, and you and your family pay for the visit. So the university, you're going to go to University A. If you're going and attending a visit at University A, then if that college coach does not pay any part of your expenses, that is an unofficial visit. They are allowed to give you complimentary admissions tickets, right? Depending on Division 1 or Division 2 of how many that is designated as, but they can provide complimentary admissions to a home contest. Okay? You cannot make an unofficial visit during a dead period. What can I say? You can, but you can't talk to the coach. So it's not a good time to make a visit. And then again, you'll see the date for Division 1 is August 1 of your junior year when you are able to begin taking those unofficial visits. Okay? At the official visits, so official is when any part of your visit is being paid by the university. Any part. It doesn't mean all of it. It means any of it. And so you need to ask the coach. If you're going on an official visit, ask what are they paying for, right? So that you can be prepared to pay any additional costs. They may pay for transportation and you may need to pay for hotel, but ask that question. This is new this year. Division 1 falls under just like Division 2, where you are unlimited in the number of official visits that you can take. Prior to this year, you were only allowed 5 official visits at the Division 1 level. That has now been removed. So that is saying that you can visit 7 Division 1 schools or a combination of Division 1, 2, and 3. And again, go to 7, 8, 9 schools. You can only take one of those official visits at each college, though. All right. A dead period, right? As you can see, a dead period. A college coach may not have face-to-face contact on or off campus with the PSA and or their parents. All right. And you're not permitted for an official or unofficial visit to campus in terms of meeting with that coach. You can communicate, a college coach can communicate, just not in person during a dead period. So you can still have phone calls, text messages, emails can still be sent, just not an in-person meeting. There is a dead period for men's soccer. You can see they're designated right here. It's around the signing date and again around the men's soccer championship. A quiet period exists in men's soccer as well. And you can read that right there where you may not have face-to-face off-campus contact with a PSA or their parents, or they cannot make evaluations during this period. Okay. The dead period, or excuse me, the quiet period for Division 1 only, again, is December 23rd through 25th. So make a note of these dates so you have them for future reference. All right. We wanted to give you a timeline, example of a recruiting timeline. Please know that you are all on a different journey. Your timeline may not be identical to what we show you. Your timeline may not be identical to anyone else on your team, or if you have siblings or twins, they may not be on the same timeline. So that is okay. This is your journey, and we want you to know that. All right. So this is just a basic starting point. So as freshmen, you can see the important pieces to this puzzle are you start high school and your core GPA begins. And these core classes will affect and impact your eligibility. Okay. A great time for player development. Start to talk to your high school coaches and your club coaches. Your club coaches are there to help you, support you, and give you feedback. Dive into that development piece on the soccer field. What can you do at practice and what can you do outside? When a family is driving on a road trip, if you're driving to other tournaments, if you're driving for vacation, right? Stop by, drive through a campus, get an idea if you like it. And ultimately, reason I have is go watch local games. If you want to play college soccer, you need to see college soccer being played. You need to see what it looks like live. Watching professional soccer is great, and that may be a future goal for you. But if you want to play college soccer, you need to watch college soccer live. It's different than on TV. And you have so many schools in different divisions just in our area alone. Begin to educate yourself, just like on this webinar. Begin to educate yourself and learn about the rules, about what you need to do, what you can do to prepare. And then ultimately, I think this one is far and above important in terms of developing those life skills, such as communication, right? You've entered into your freshman year, and now you have teachers, a high school coach, and your club coach. Have conversation, ask questions. Parents who are on this, encourage your freshmen to begin to ask questions and communicate with teachers and their coaches. It will make a difference as they begin the recruiting process and having to talk to future college coaches in the recruiting process. And then as you can see, as we move to sophomore year, that's when you're going to make your list. I believe you need to have 20 to 30 schools, because some schools you'll drive past and you may knock off the list. Some schools, it may not be the right timing for you and them, and they may have to drop out. But if you start with a larger pool of schools, that sets you up to begin to walk through the recruiting process. Don't limit yourself to just 5. Again, you can register for the NCAA or the NAIA clearinghouse. Again, I recommend taking your ACT or SAT in your sophomore year so that you don't feel rushed going into your junior and senior year. And it helps provide opportunities for you to improve that, to potentially earn academic scholarship on top of an athletic scholarship. Begin to reach out to schools. Some of the levels, as you will see later, can communicate back with you, but Division 1 and 2 has this June 15th date. So we will give you a snapshot of what those dates look like a little bit later in this, but you can begin to reach out and let them know of club tournaments that you're attending. Begin to attend ID camps. Ask a question about when their ID camps are. And again, your club teams are attending showcases. In your junior year, right, is when now, post June 15th for Division 1 and 2, you have already begun making contact with college coaches. So begin to meet with them, begin to talk with them, make unofficial and official visits, right? Attend their matches. Competitive championship season is in the fall, but all of these teams also play spring games. Not as many, but they also do play spring. So you can attend spring matches as well. Again, stay on top of your academics. And again, make sure that you are working towards making sure your academic requirements for eligibility are set. And begin to educate yourself on the non-athletic scholarships available at those schools on your list. Moving into your senior year, some of you may have already committed. Some of you may be in that time where it's really now it's weeding down to your top 5, right? And so these are just kind of have you visited the school yet? Have you applied to the school? What are the non-athletic scholarships? The FAFSA form, that is now in December. It's not October this year. It starts in December. It's open for admissions for the application for the FAFSA registration. So you want to be committed, right, by your junior, senior year. But once you are committed, there is a once you've committed and your signing happens, and that's when the real work begins. Right now, you know who your coach is, you know your team, you know where you're going, but now you got to make sure you're prepared. And so that's a later slide that we will talk about as well. But there is still work to be done after that celebration of signing. How do I get started? I believe that there's some real key areas that you need to focus on. And I truly believe that your education, the relationships, and the athletic experiences are so important to help you navigate to the right college soccer program that fits you. Because what you need to ask yourself is, if you get injured, and maybe even injured to the point that it's a long-term injury, will you still be happy attending that school? You've got to ask yourself that. So these are some big pieces to that puzzle, right? Academically, do they have the major or majors that you're considering? What's the size of the school? What's the community like? What's the location? What's the proximity to home? What part of the country? Finances. What's the cost of attendance, right? What will it take for you as a family to have to pay, and what can you pay, right? And then athletics, right? There's so many different levels of athletics, the program, the culture, the commitment, the development. What are they, and the resources? What do they have that fit you and the experiences that you want to have? Again, this is an individual journey that a family will take. And the family sitting next to you on your team may experience a different aspect to their journey through this process. All right. Soccer fit and timelines, right? This is really, people say this is the hardest part of the recruiting process. I believe if we help you find your why, and you know why you want to go play college soccer, and you know why you're choosing that final school, it doesn't become as hard. Because you can see, right, there's impact players, core players, and depth players. And depth players, honestly, a depth player can move up to a core player, right? And if you have watched any level of soccer, you have seen subs come off the bench and impact games to win championships or win big time games that have propelled them. And so that's the important thing. Where do you want to fall on that? And over on the right, you see college A, B, C, and D. I'm going to give you an example. That may not be 4 different division levels. That may be all within, let's say, Division 1. So it's a matter of what's the right fit for you. Where do you want to fall and come in as a freshman? But it does not mean that you will stay there. The goal for you, once you find your college soccer program your freshman year, is to continue to grow as a person and a soccer player and academically, right? So you may enter at one level and find your way to elevate because you've trained and worked hard and listened to coach. All right, we wanted to provide examples of some intro emails to college coaches. All right, this is usually the first opportunity for you to really present yourself. Okay, so personalize this. All right, some of you may not like writing long emails, but you need to talk about yourself. This is where we're going to help you shine and showcase who you are. So you have to personalize it to each individual school. Coaches know if you if you are sending a template. Hey, coach, it's great to see you. I like your school. It's really great. Good luck on the season, right? As compared to, I really like your Belmont program, Coach Costa, because I have seen you grow the program. You're contending for championships, and you're really in depth about the first part. So you're personalizing it to that coach, to that university. Include all the coaches on that email, right? I know that you may think I shouldn't do that. They're going to get sick of me, but you don't know who the recruiting coach is. Is it the head coach, or does he have a recruiting coordinator? And so you need to include all of them. And then when they respond, that begins a conversation, right? You have to put things about yourself. You have to put your graduation year, put your jersey number, your team name, right? Position, and these other pieces, right? Upcoming schedule. If you have video, I would encourage you to put that in. Again, put your email address. See the bottom of this example, you can put all of those tags, your name, your name, your team name, grad year, email, right? You have the ability to put that. So now that's in all of them. Once you email them, tell them you're going to a tournament, going to play in this event coming up, please come watch me. Then you have a follow-up, right? The follow-up email. Again, make it personalized. Thank them for coming. Ask them for feedback about your game. Most clubs are receiving what coaches attended each game, right? And so you can get that from your team manager, and you can reach back out to the schools that you invited and maybe a few more that you didn't even think about. But ask for feedback. Then ask questions. At this point, any follow-up email that you send, ask questions to them. Make sure they know you want to start a conversation. Ask about the school. Ask about the season. Begin to ask some questions that get them to respond back to you. Make sure you give them your club coach's contact information. Again, your club coach and high school coach see you a lot, but your club coach has probably been with you for 1, 2, maybe longer than that. And they can really talk about you playing at a high competitive level, and they can give them some insight into your game and into your technical, tactical, physical, and psychological aspects of the game. Okay, so It's not just one follow-up. That's what I want to reiterate. It's not just one. You're beginning a conversation. So it's after the first follow-up, then your conversations with the coaches begin. Here's also another template that we have for you, right? We want you to shine, and we would love for you to use the TSC player profile because it allows you, right? No matter which TSC team you are on, you are a TSC soccer player. You are in this club on the men's side and you want to go play men's college soccer. So put these details, right? Add these important details. You'll see there's not only club experience, there's high school, right? You put your references, put your coaches there. Attach this also to each email. So these are important pieces of information. You put all of this content attached to the email. These don't have to be written in your other email. And again, it helps to help have a simple, concise, personalized email and then attached a player profile so they can gain more information about you. Again, we want you to shine. And as Sandy mentioned, it's not just ECNL. All of you can go play, but this is a great way to help TSC showcase you at another level. And again, you've probably heard this. You've probably seen it on TV. You've probably seen posts of it, but social media does matter. I want you to be aware of that as you go through this process. And you want to think before you post because this is a reflection of who you are. And you don't want one post to cost you potentially hundreds of thousands of dollars in scholarship opportunities. Okay. So something to be very aware of. Think before you post. Recruiting calendar. I'm going to run through these pretty quick because I have a graphic that's going to be a little more condensed. And that one you can take a snapshot of if you want to keep it. And that way it'll be on your phone. But these are recruiting calendar. These are items and these are dates that go along with it. So recruiting material is anything like camp brochures, questionnaires, or NCAA material and non-athletic material. That can be sent to you right now, even as a freshman. It could be sent to 8th graders, okay? It could be sent to you as a senior. So they can send that at any time. Coaches may not begin to send recruiting material and electronic correspondence. Again, this is the Division I and the Division II level until June 15th after your sophomore year, okay? And so then phone calls to and from a college coach. So a coach can make and receive June 15th. Off-campus visits. Again, that a college coach can have contact with you and your family off campus. So if you're at an event, at a showcase, after the event, they can talk to you, but they cannot do that. It has to be beginning August 1 before your junior year. Unofficial and official visits, as you can see, would be August 1 as well for Division I. Very similar, right, for recruiting materials and phone calls for the Division II. But then you have the difference for off-campus visits, or excuse me, off-campus contact as June 15th. Unofficial visits can be anytime, and official visits June 15th. And this is for Division II. Division III, you can see a lot of anytimes on here, right? And so it's a little more open. And as you see, that quite honestly, it's really the only one that has after your sophomore year in high school is your off-campus contact. Okay. And again, there's no limit on official visits at the Division III level. So you can make as many of those as you can, as you want to, just like Division I and II at this point. I wanted to give you this snapshot. If you want to take a picture of this, this is the picture I was talking about. So it gives you all the different divisions, or most of them, and the things we talked about, and it's broken down into dates, anytime, June 15th. So it's a really good resource, and even when and where verbal scholarship offers can be made to you. Okay, some possible questions that you can ask, and quite honestly, you can ask these on a visit or a phone call before you ever make the visit. So I think it's really important to go to, when you're going to make a phone call to a coach, or when you're on campus for a visit, come prepared with questions. Your mom and dad have probably already said it and you might have rolled your eyes, but the reality is come prepared with questions because that coach wants to know that you've taken time to think through what's important to you. These are some examples of that, right? Some of them, the majority of the ones that I received through my coaching career. What major do most of the players, right? What do they major in? What are the academic resources available for student athletes? Right? The study abroad and internship questions. Is that allowed? When is it allowed? Typical week, right? Typical week is a big one. And they do look different. Even within Division One, there's a big range of schools. They may be different from school to school within a division. And then, of course, what does off season look like? Okay, so these are some really good questions to ask. I think another question that you could ask that I actually talked with a young lady about was, do you dress everybody for home games? Right, so it's just another tidbit that's not on here, but I think it's a good one to ask because everybody assumes that they will, but that may not be that coach's philosophy. So that's a really good question to ask. All right. I want to talk to you a little bit and just give you some insight into H2 athletic advising. Hopefully this webinar with the education side of timelines and definitions and some questions to ask is going to be helpful and get you started. And if that gets you rolling, I am so excited and I want you to find that college program for you. What I offer within H2 Athletic Advising is a really personalized program for each client. And so it allows us to build the number of sessions and items we're going to focus on. And we do it in a 3-part phase. We do analyze, and that's your why. Why do you want to go play college soccer? And what is that why and what's that school look like? Is it large? Is it small? Is it close to home? I want to educate the families. You'll get a lot of education through this partnership that I have with TSC because we're going to do multiple webinars. And again, we're going to break down some of these other elements as we have these webinars through the rest of the year. But in the process, we're also going to educate our families inside these individual programs, the do's and don'ts for parents, right? And there are do's as well as don'ts for parents. We want to ultimately empower these student athletes to take action and ownership of their recruiting journey, right? If I'm brought into your family, I would love to do that, but we got to remember that it's their journey and we're going to help keep them moving forward on that. These are just some of the items that the services that I do offer. And, you know, I mentioned earlier communication skills as a freshman. That's important because I really believe communication skills. We have to do more than snap those college coaches, right? We have to be able to have a conversation with them. We have to email them. We have to text them. We have to have phone call conversations. And then we have to have campus face-to-face conversations. And that's all before we ever decide on where we're going to go. Then when they're in college, they're going to have sit-down face-to-face conversations with coach. Right. So I provide mock phone calls. I provide the opportunity to help you with a Google Doc type organization form. I help you with what are coaches when you get into the communication part, helping decipher what is a college coach really meaning. And really, the question sometimes happens, when and where, how do I know when we're ready to commit to a college, right? So these are just some of the services that we provide at H2 Athletic Advising. And again, I want to provide to you, we book free 30-minute consults. And actually, I've already received a couple of requests from people who have signed up for the webinar. So I'm really excited to talk to some of you. These if you sign on with us, they're very personalized. They're one-on-one consulting sessions, and they're built for 60 minutes a session. So it allows us to have virtual sessions where your student athlete is really having to engage in face-to-face conversations, and they will come away with different tasks from each session to help them move forward through that process. I'm there for guidance, for consulting, for motivation, for encouragement, but really want to help you and your student athlete through this journey. You can see the ways to get a hold of me and connect. And so follow me on social, reach out to me in any way. I would be happy to be a part of this journey with you. We are going to exit the shared screen. And then now we're going to answer a couple questions. Let's see. Let me read a couple of them and then we will answer. Andy, Sandy, do you have anything you want to add while I'm reading these? Andy, I think you're on mute.
Oh, I don't remember muting it. Sorry. Different players find their growth spurts at different parts of their career. We have a lot of players who are excelling at a young age, but I have numerous examples of players that don't excel or don't hit the real strong growth spurts until they attend college. So we've had players that go to school, and from there, a great example is a player called Aaron Schoenfeld, who was a middle of the road player in his club, went to ETSU, and from there became a pro, played in the MLS, and then played over in Israel, ended up playing in the Europa League and Champions League for Maccabi Tel Aviv. But he didn't start his growth till he was a freshman in college. Several examples of those. So just remember that, families and players that are listening to this, you never know when it's going to hit you, and it does not matter which school you go to. So just be patient, keep working hard, and strive for excellence. Andy, anything to add?
Just from my experience, what's the one thing I always told the players is make sure you apply early as well, because there's a lot of deadlines for financial aid. So make sure you check out when those deadlines are. But once you apply, you're in the system. Everything kind of goes smoothly after that. And most schools will have a code, so you don't have to pay the application fee all the time. So if you ask for that as well, that's probably a good idea.
Yeah, those are really great nuggets. I think that's important, right? You get to hear it straight from your men's coaches. A couple questions. So someone asked, is there a website that is good to find college ID camps? Andy, unless you can think of one, I don't know that there is a website. I think there's websites out there that will direct you to them. I think really my philosophy on helping you find ID camps is if you are younger, attend an ID camp that might host more than one, right? More than one coach at that camp. So find, let's say that you're going to go to University of Kentucky's ID camp, right? Go there if they have 5, 6, 10 different college coaches, right? Especially early on when you're still trying to figure out where you want to go, because he'll pull a lot of coaches from other local colleges in that area. You could even ask who's attending. Then as you begin to narrow down your search, then you can go to those ID camps that maybe just that college, right? To go, okay, now I really want to dive deeper into this. But I would look for a few camps that provide multiple coaches at. I would also encourage you to complete the questionnaires. Most universities on their website have a prospective student athlete questionnaire. And I would encourage you to complete that so that you are now in their system. So as camps come up, they will send it to you. Now that at the same time will generate a lot of camp emails to you. Okay. But again, if you walk through it and break down who has camps with multiple coaches, that will help you. Another question, since the NCAA helps to maintain amateur status, does it keep players eligible to participate for the national team? Yes, there are exceptions with Olympic development and international and national team play. So that is still protected because they want to provide that opportunity for you to play at the next level without playing professional, not at a national team level. They understand that development. That's a really great question. Another question, right? I just want to reiterate this is what is the start date for communication at Division 1 and 2? Again, it is June 15th for after your sophomore year. Okay. Can I explain what ODP is? I'm sorry. ODP is the Olympic Development Program. It is designed within every state. Sandy and Andy, you can correct me, but I believe in every state across the country, there is an Olympic development program. So you would be identified as, you go in to try out, you would be identified as a state pool player, then a state level player, and then have the opportunity to advance to a regional selection. And that is one of many ways that you could find yourself on the national team, right? US Soccer, quite honestly, has scouts at almost every major club showcase now as well. But Olympic development is not as known as it used to be, even in this area, but it still exists and it still provides opportunity for you to find a college, because college coaches will usually work at these, as well as an opportunity to maybe be called into the national team. Okay. And let's see. Stand out the communication. How do I help my seniors stand out with a college communication that has been in the process a bit at different levels? Again, if they are a senior at this point, we want to get your senior on the phone with college coaches. And so look at the emails that maybe they've responded to you, set up through maybe a text to get on a phone call, because you are a senior and you're looking to make a decision, right? And narrow it down to make visits. So get on the phone and have a conversation. Really, that's the best type of communication. Email is before we can have those phone calls. Emails are intros, but getting a text message and then a phone call to a college coach really shows that you're willing to put the time and energy into that school and you have a sincere interest. So I think that's the best thing, is get on a phone call, show the interest, tell them you want to come visit, right? You don't always have to wait for them to ask you to come visit. Go ahead and tell them your interest is that serious that you want to do that. Division III. Why do Division III schools not offer scholarships? They don't offer athletic scholarships. They do offer academic scholarships. They do offer right, federal grants and aids. It's just their philosophy. It goes along with their ultimate philosophy in how they want to build the student athlete experience. And so it does lead to more flexibility, because the athletic piece is not the whole carrot. Really, when it comes, it's not the main focus of the university or athletic department. They want people who want to be there, but it's not just hanging on the opportunity to play at the Division I level. And so utilize that flexibility in communication and utilize the opportunity to have more academic scholarships. I will tell you that some people that I know have an academic scholarship that's worth more than another person's athletic scholarship. And they chose a Division III because they can still play for a national champion in a conference championship at Division III, and they're not having to pay as much at that school as compared to the Division I school that offered them another amount. And so I wouldn't take Division IIIs off the table at all. I think they're very important to us, and they provide a great experience. And again, conference and national championship level soccer.
Can I add to that?
Yes.
Heather? So, yeah, one of the unique things about where we are in our area is we have a lot of really, really bright academic students in our club. And just being bright alone doesn't always get you into a high academic institution. But being bright and being able to play a sport like soccer can get you in where one by itself would not. So there's an opportunity. We have a lot of our players go to Division III schools, really, really good ones, that might not get in just with their academics alone. And that also applies to the Ivy League schools. You know, we've sent players to Yale, Harvard, Cornell, Brown. You know, that those players may not have got in just in academics alone. So there's a great opportunity for our athletes in Tennessee Soccer Club to go to some top-notch schools, because at the end of the day, your future is, you know, your career, right? The number of professional soccer players are going to be very limited, but if you can go to a really, really good academic institution, you're going to be set for the rest of your life. So keep that in mind as well.
All right. And then it asks one last question. Isn't it a bit different relative to athletic scholarships for private versus state schools? Again, they can be, right? Athletic scholarships, each school gets to make a decision of how they want to, what maximum number of scholarships they want to provide. to their men's soccer program, to any of their athletic programs. And so there is the cost in-state, an in-state school. Of course, right, is usually less expensive. It still can be expensive, but it's less expensive than any private school, even if it's in state. And so I think ultimately, basically, the 9.9 scholarships we looked at Division I, do that times, let's say it costs $50,000 to go to that school. So 9.9 times 50,000 is the total allotment of money that a school is allotted. And then the coaches can break that up into pieces, especially at the Division I level. And it's their choice on how they want to break it up. Okay. I want to say thank you so much. I know we need to close out, and I want to say thank you very much for your time. I want to apologize for any technical difficulties that we had. So again, a recording will go out to everyone who registered. So if you have a friend who had a problem getting on this webinar, please tell them, and I will send it out in an email that they are getting a link to the recording, and it will also be on the TSC website. So they will have access to this. And I truly apologize for that. And but we're gonna fix that problem and make sure that all of you have access to this. And then remember that as we go through the year, there will be different webinars, and they will be topics such as deeper questions about communication. How do we connect and build the conversation? What do we do pre, during, and post a soccer tournament? How do we put a highlight film together? So we're going to dive into some deeper topics to really help you navigate through this process. If you have any questions, you can book a free consult, and I can help you out that way as well. And I really appreciate Sandy and Andy for being on the call with us. And Chris, I want to thank you behind the scenes for all the technical stuff. And I really appreciate all of you this evening. Y'all have a great night, and I'll see you on the field.
Thank you, Heather.